So boys and girls, we're going to do something like a Mad Lib game. So take a moment, pause the video, grab you a piece of paper and a pencil or something to write with. So I'll read the story with the ones that I've selected from your suggestions, and you can put your own into the story. One day, Sarah and her friends were taking a hike in the woods. All of a sudden, they were confronted by a pack of angry coyotes. Sarah shouted, "Quick, run to the cabin!" But it was too late. The coyotes had already surrounded the group of friends. This is a story that is made up. The people we'll hear about in today's Bible story turned to Jesus for help, and we'll find out what situation they were in. Let's look in Mark chapter 5. That's in the New Testament. Jesus stood on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, and a large crowd gathered around him. And Jairus, one of the leaders in the synagogue, fell at Jesus' feet and begged him for help. "My daughter is about to die. Please come and touch her so she will be healed and live," he asked Jesus. So Jesus moved ahead in the crowd, and Jairus followed with him. In the crowd, there was a woman who had a bleeding disorder for 12 years. That's longer than most of you have been alive. She had seen many doctors. She had spent all of her money trying to get better, but no one seemed to be able to help her. She was getting worse. The woman said to herself, "If only I could just touch Jesus' clothes, then I would be healed." She came up behind Jesus in the crowd and she touched his clothes, and immediately her bleeding stopped and she knew she was healed. And at that moment, Jesus felt the power had left him, and he turned around and he said, "Who touched my clothes?" And he asked the disciples, "Who is it? Who is it that has touched me?" The disciples looked at the crowd and said, "Would you just look at all these people? How in the world are we going to tell who has touched you?" The woman, knowing she was healed, came forward and fell before Jesus. She told him what had happened. Jesus said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace. You are healed." While Jesus was speaking, some men came from Jairus' house and told Jairus, "Your daughter's dead. Don't bother Jesus anymore." Jesus heard what the men said, and he told Jairus, "Do not be afraid, just believe." Jesus and 3 of his disciples went to Jairus' house. People were crying and wailing loudly. "Why are you crying?" Jesus asked. "The child is not dead. She is sleeping." The people laughed because they didn't believe Jesus, and he told them all to leave. Jesus took Jairus and his wife into the room where the child was. He took the girl by the hand and said, "Little girl, get up." And immediately the girl got up and began walking around. Jairus and his wife were amazed. Jesus told them to give the little girl some food and not to tell anyone what had happened. By healing the woman and raising this little girl from the dead, Jesus showed his power as the Messiah. Jesus died on the cross and he rose again, showing God's power and showing that God forgives our sins and changes us to be more like Jesus. Now that we're back, number 1 through 5. By number 1, list someone else that lives in your home. Any suggestions? I like Sarah. But remember, you can put what you want to list. All right, how about a type of animal? Coyote, I like that one. Okay, you knew I had to pause to see how to spell it. So put an S on the end, make it a plural. Number 3, a verb. A verb, okay, run. Thank you. Y'all got some great suggestions, but I'm just picking one. But again, you can put your own. Then a noun. Cabin, I like that one. That one's different. How many of you have cabin fever from being cooped up inside? And then a past tense verb. Surrounded. So do you have your 5? Let's put these into our story.